Good morning, YouTubers. T-Square here with T-Square Talks. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. It is Sunday morning, and literally the market should be opening up in about 11 hours. So everybody is watching, waiting to see what's going to happen as soon as the market's open. Is this big jump that we've been seeing in gold and silver going to continue? Is it going to pull back? What's going to happen? We're going to talk a little bit about that today, and I'll be honest, I am super excited to talk about this, and I'm super excited to see how the week's going to play out. So I think it's important that we do talk a little bit about this, and there's a lot of people out there that feel like they've missed the boat. They've missed the boat. We've seen gold run up 25, 26% so far this year. We've seen silver run up 26, 27% so far this year. A little bit more than gold, but everybody is still wondering, how much more can it go up? What's going to happen? So we're going to talk about that today. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please take a quick minute, hit that thumbs up button for me. It really helps the channel out. And leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think is going to happen this week? Is it just going to continue to go higher and higher, or are we going to see some kind of a pullback? Let me know your thoughts, and I'll tell you mine here in just a few minutes. Also, for those of you that don't know, we have announced our October members event special goal giveaway. So essentially, those of you that don't know, let me move this over just for a minute. Every month we do some sort of a special event where our members get an opportunity to win an ounce of silver. I usually give the member that wins a couple different choices so they can get something they really want, not just a standard eagle or a elephant or whatever, a generic round. But this month, I wanted to do something special if we hit 150 members. So it's only $1.99 to become a member, and you have an option at winning this if you hit. So this is going to be pretty cool. This is the 1987 San Francisco Eagle. It's an MS69, a super awesome coin. It scans in at $250. This is one of the more limited American Silver Eagles out there, so it's really cool if you end up hitting it as a member. It is a free event to our members. It's only $1.99 to become a member. If you'd like to consider becoming a member, hit the join button. If we don't hit 150 members, which should be a breeze to hit, really, at the rate we've been climbing, but if we don't, we'll just move this over 1 month until we hit the 150, and we'll still give away your pick of a 1 ounce silver round, so, or a silver eagle, or a silver, I say round, they're silver coin. So with that being said, let's jump in and let's talk about today's video. So, first of all, I guess I'll start off right off saying that, you know, I did a video. It was a common question that I got asked over the weekend is, what happened to the dip? Everybody said we were going to see a dip. You thought we'd see a dip. You know, so I still think there's a dip coming. I just don't know when. I'm thinking the dip has to come before the month comes to an end. There's only, 15 days left, really, when you think about it. That's a little over 2 weeks, and some of them ain't even trading days. The dip has to come because there is a huge short position out there in silver, and it's going to be very expensive to cover that short position. Someone's going to be left holding the bag if they decide they're not going to cover it, and it could really change the dynamic of silver, because once that short position gets basically covered and not repeated, then all of a sudden the demand on silver shows that it has extremely high demand. And everybody sees that, and more people are going to want to flood into it. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen before the Fed meeting or if it's going to happen after the Fed meeting. After what we've seen on Thursday and Friday, it's going to be really tough happening at all. I hate to say that. For those of you guys that are waiting for a dip. I'm up in the air. If we see a dip, that's great. If we don't see a dip, that's great too. I've been stacking for a while, but I know there's a lot of people that are newer to stacking, because as gold and silver continue to climb higher and higher, more people find out about it. And then they look at it and they're like, oh my word, I missed out. First of all, let me start by saying you didn't miss out yet. Yes, you missed out on some early gains. We're just getting started, I believe. I believe silver and gold are going to go a whole lot higher. And, you know, I can sit here and I can tell you why I believe that, but there's a lot of people out there that don't believe what I would tell you, because I do believe that the dollar is losing its foothold over the world as the world reserve currency. Now, some of y'all will agree with that because you've been following the channel for a while. You've been doing your own research and you see what's happening. But mainstream media is not going to tell you that because mainstream media is owned by the elites. Despite what people think, if they own it, they control the narrative. Just like if you had a talk show, you're going to control the narrative on what you want to talk about. They're not going to tell you that gold and silver is going to go a whole lot higher because they want you to stay invested in stocks. They want you to keep thinking the real estate market's going to go higher. I talked to a realtor a little while back and she's like, oh no, real estate's just going to continue going up. You need to hurry up and buy something now. And I kind of laugh a little bit because I wonder if they believe that or if they, are invested in it, so they have to keep pushing that narrative. But here's the thing, you didn't miss nothing. You might have missed out on the early gains, so I guess you missed out on a little something, but it's going to go a whole lot higher in my personal opinion. I'm not a financial expert. I'm just telling you guys from what I'm looking at, my personal opinion. And here's the thing. All these people that just think that they've missed the boat. I know how you feel. I've been there. I was one of them people. I got a comment today that said that he started stacking in the early 90s. And everybody told him he was crazy when he was buying at $400 an ounce for gold. And they told him how nuts he was, and he was buying gold and silver, and it would never really go up. And if it did, who in their right mind would buy it? And I laughed when I read the comment because I was in the Middle East in 2000. And for those of you that have never been to the Middle East has pure gold that you can buy. And a lot of guys that I knew would buy it. Not a lot, but a couple would buy it and send it home to their family. Now, unfortunately, I was too busy talking smack, talking trash, whatever you want to call it, and saying that is the craziest thing, dude. You're buying a rock for $400, a 1 ounce rock, essentially. And you couldn't talk the sense into me because I was not open to listening at the time. And there's a lot of people now that aren't open to listening. They tell you that, you buy gold at $2,500, $2,600, you're a fool and this and that. And to a certain point, it discourages people. You need to see the gains to be encouraged. This kid had just firm belief. It was embedded in him. And he tried explaining, and I would have no part of it. I was in the stock market, and I thought the stock market was the best place to put your money. I was lucky, however, to sell all my .coms, everything that I had bought in to buy my first house. And I didn't want to owe the bank a ton of money, so I sold off everything I owned. And I remember the day that I sold it because I cried a little. I was like, man, everything that I worked hard to build up. And that's how you guys will feel about your gold and silver collection. And it just keeps going up and up and up in price. And that was how my .coms were doing. And it was kind of funny because a month after I sold, I closed on my house. I loved my house, but I still missed having all my profits, essentially my stocks, .com sector heavily. And then all of a sudden, the .com bubble popped. And it got destroyed. And I remember sitting there watching it and just being like, what in the world? If I hadn't bought in my house when I did, I would have lost almost everything that I've built up. And instead, I had a house. It's not the first time I've heard a story like that. I actually had a friend of mine that he was big in the stock market in 2008. And he wanted to buy a condo. And it was like a $500,000 condo right on the water. And all he had to do was just punch one key and it was sold. And then he had the money to go buy that condo. And he was margined heavy. So for those of you that don't know what margined is, it means basically for every one share, you're basically getting the profits or the losses of 5 shares. And he decided, he couldn't do it. He didn't want to give up all those gains and put it in something solid like a condo. And then all of a sudden, the stock market collapsed. And he literally lost almost everything instantly. And it was pretty devastating for him. Now, he's done really well with his life, and he looks at it as a learning opportunity, essentially. With gold and silver, we're seeing this just get started. And every time something really bad in the country happens or in the world, gold and silver really does start to rise. You look at the climbs that we've had. Look at the 2008 housing crisis and the bank bailout. That caused silver to go from $5 to $50. Now, there's still going to be people out there that are going to say, I bought at $50 and I'll never recover my money. You know why? If you saw an investment go up by 10 times and you thought it would be smart to buy in, you need to think a little wiser, because that may not be the time to get in. I'm not saying it's necessarily the time to sell, but it's definitely probably not the time to get in. And it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again, where I believe that as the dollar continues to lose purchasing power, and now there's a lot of talk about the BRICS currency being backed 40% by gold. But that's just a plan. It doesn't mean it will happen. They've been talking about a gold-backed currency for a while, but it takes time, because they need the people that are involved in that to position themselves. Because if you know what's going to happen, you have the opportunity to position yourself and your family to really profit from it, when you think about it. And if you're wise, you'll do that. So you don't want to run out and all of a sudden tell the world what you're going to do. Little pieces leak out here and there, and, that's not factual most of the time, so it doesn't matter. But now it's starting to become more fact as they discuss it more and more. As they have to tell more and more people, someone is eventually gonna tell somebody else, and the word's gonna get out. And that's kind of what's happening right now. And as they print more and more money, you've got to ask yourself, is the debt that the U.S. has, is that sustainable? What happens if you will say, for instance, make, $100,000. I'm just going to use some made up numbers. Let's say you make $100,000 a year and you're $1 million in debt. You cannot sustain that. You're making minimum payment. You'll never be able to pay it off. And yeah, you've got income. You've got money coming in. And in the country, America, in here, we can say that, the U.S. can just raise taxes. But here's the thing. You can raise taxes one term, and you probably won't be in a second term, most likely. So raising taxes is not really an answer. It can piss off voters. So what is the alternative? If you can't raise taxes, all you can do is print money. You print money to fund your socialist agendas, your whatever you want to call them. I don't say it in a bad way. I'm not saying one way or the other what government does with their money. I'm just saying they have to fund their projects. And as they fund these projects, where do they get that money from? They've got to print it. I probably shouldn't use the S word. But, because I do have a belief that sometimes you say the wrong thing and all of a sudden your video doesn't get seen by anybody. But the truth of the matter is, they've got to print the money. And as they print more money, it makes it worth less. And that's why people are flocking into gold and silver, kind of like what you see here. Because, when these first came out, you think about it, these were only, when they first came out, $400 or $500. I don't know how much this was in 1986 when this rolled out. I would probably be safe to say $450, maybe. Now, you'd be lucky to get this coin for $3,000. You'd be lucky to get the equivalent of the gold in it for $2,700. So, it's something that you have to understand, that the price is just continuing to climb up. And I even believe that at a certain point, you're going to see gold go so high that people won't be able to afford it. And that's where silver will start to come in, because people will want to put their money in some sort of a commodity that they can hold and that retains purchasing power. And that's going to keep going up with inflation. And that's where silver is going to come into play. And as more and more people flood their money into silver, it's going to continue to push it higher and higher. And the people that keep saying, I'm going to buy when it pulls back, and when it dips, I'm going to buy, and then they never do. They're like, oh, yeah, but they're talking that it could keep coming down. Of course they're going to say that, because they're happy that they're getting more for less money. I mean, if the price dropped today to $25, or I shouldn't say today because it's the weekend, but on Monday, if it dropped to $25, there's going to be a lot of people buying. And a lot of people will probably come out and say, oh, it's going to pull back even more. It's going to pull back even more. And, the thing is, as it pulls back more, it hits more resistance because more people are buying in at a lower price. And then there's always going to be those people on the sidelines that just want to talk smack because they don't have any. Or they're invested in something else, whether that be cryptocurrencies or whether that be mining stocks. I had someone comment today that, some mining stocks have gone up way more than gold and silver. And yeah, that's true. But for every one that's done really good, there's one that hasn't done jack. And once you realize that, how are you going to pick out the diamonds out of the rough? There's a lot of junk stocks out there, and there's a lot of good stocks. You have to really, really look into a company and dig. And here's the thing. Remember Enron? How many people remember Enron? I had a friend of mine that he actually quit his job for less pay to go to work for Enron, but they gave him stock options. And in the stock options, there was a stipulation that he couldn't cash them in for 5 years. So he was happy. He's like, yeah, I may be making less money, but look at what I'm going to be at in the long run. Look at my stock option. I got all these shares in the company. I can't sell them for 5 years, but once the 5 years comes, it's almost like a huge pay raise. I could sell them all instantly at that point. He was with the company maybe 2-3 years, and then it collapsed. And the truth came out about Enron. And, a lot of people lost everything they had earned. They'd put their whole life savings in that. They had been working essentially for free. So there's bad companies out there and there's good companies. But here's the thing. When you hold a piece of gold or a piece of silver, you own it. You have it. And that's something that nobody can take away from you. I mean, you've got to part with that. As long as you can keep it safe, you own it. And a lot of people just believe what they hear. And they don't really do their own homework, their own research. And that's why I feel bad for the naysayers. So, today I spend a lot of the day just answering comments. And I see a common theme. There's people out there that still don't believe in it. They're still naysayers. And they're not going to believe in it. They may never believe in it. Because at a certain point, they're going to be sour that they didn't buy gold at $2,500 or silver at $30 when it's sitting at, $5,000 gold and $300 silver. Now, I know right off the bat, there's some of you out there right now that are laughing because you can't fathom $5,000 gold or $300 silver. But here's what you got to understand. Look at what we seen in 2008 when things got bad. We seen gold climb all the way from $400 to $2,000. That's a 5x move on their money. So to think that gold can't go from $2,500 to $5,000, that's just 2x. That just means it needs to double one time, and it's at $5,000. And that's funny and scary in the same sense. And as someone out there too that's laughing saying $300 gold though, come on, get real, bro. Okay, now let's look at what happened in 2011 again. Silver went from $5 to $50. Back then, we didn't have near the amount of money that we have in circulation today. Silver's sitting right now at just under $31. A 10x move on silver today would take it up to over $300. And these are not astronomical numbers. I've heard some crazy predictions, and to me they might seem crazy, but when you really think about these claims, they're basically making it out like the dollar is going to totally collapse. With $5,000 gold and $300 silver, the dollar doesn't have to collapse. They just need to keep watering it down. And they've already watered it down enough that we could see those gains. And you got to remember, as it's climbing, there will be people selling and there will be people buying. You know, that's why you have the comments of these people that, oh, I bought at $50 and I'll never recover. You know, you bought after it had already climbed. I don't want to see anybody watching my video today and then all of a sudden they see $300 silver in a year or two from now, and then they want to go out and put their money on silver. If you're watching this video 6 months or a year later, you might have already missed the boat. I can't say for sure because I don't know how quick stuff can start breaking down, but they're definitely breaking down now. And once you realize that, you need to protect yourself. You need to protect your family. And my opinion, in uncertain times, there's almost no better way to protect yourself than with gold and silver. You know, it's something tangible. It's been money since the beginning of time. And to anybody out there that's watching this and all of a sudden they just made a comment like, no, God will protect you. Okay, I will put my trust in God first and foremost, but on the flip side, you have to somewhat take a little initiative. You know, I mean, even the Bible says, you know, the home of the wise has spices and, what was the other one? Spices and treasures and spices? I can't remember what the other thing was. Oils and spices or something. But, you know, it's true. You need to protect yourself from what's coming. And here's the thing. Like I said, $5,000 gold, $300 silver is not unrealistic. It's not end of the world. It's not end of the dollar totally. Because if the dollar becomes worthless, not worth less, but worthless, the number that it would take, it would be astronomical. If I told you you could have this ounce of gold in toilet paper, how many rolls of toilet paper would you give me for it? Well, I can tell you right now, I can go to Walmart right now and buy 4 rolls of toilet paper for $1. That means at $2,600, that's essentially 10,400 rolls of toilet paper, if I did the math correctly in my head real quick. You know, so you need to understand what's happening. And the sooner you understand that what's happening, the sooner you can start focusing on what you need to do. You know, even if you have ever been to any kind of rehab, they tell you in the steps, the first thing is admitting you have a problem. Well, the first thing you need to do is admit that there's a problem right now, and that this debt that we continue to accumulate, we just hit 35 trillion. We'll hit probably 36 trillion before the year comes to an end at the current rate they're going. This is not sustainable to go up $2.5 trillion in debt in a year. And it just keeps growing. And if you don't prepare now, you're going to totally miss the boat. You're not going to have a life raft. It's going to be hard. Now, this is not doom and gloom. This is just me telling you, you know, consider doing something. And if you tell me you just don't have the money right now, I will tell you, I understand. But you can buy something as small as a Mercury dime for $2.25. So you have opportunity, and you just start picking them up one at a time here and there. I wonder what that little spot is right there. Almost like maybe it's bent. I don't know. It looks weird. Yeah, it must just be bent. You know, you have an opportunity to start stacking today. And I hope you consider stacking. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I don't want it to get too long, so I'm going to wrap it up here. And hopefully I see your name as a member. I'd love to see you as a member. It's only $1.99. It helps fund the channel. As a member, your comments go directly to my phone. So if you send me a comment, it's a guarantee pretty much I'm going to reply to it that day, if not right that moment. Because if I've got my phone in my hand, which I most of the time do, and I see a comment pop up by somebody, I usually send them the reply right off the bat. So that's one of the awesome perks of being a member. And even regular comments, if you're not a member, I do try to reply back to them. But with 3,500 videos, it's hard to reply back to every single comment on every single video. So I have to kind of weed out a secondary way. And so that's why I've set that up. As a member, your comments go right to my phone. You have shot at getting a really cool gift every month as we do a members event every month. And the gifts are really cool. And like I said, we got a really good one as soon as we hit 150 members, which is right around the corner. It will fill up fairly quick. We're going to be giving that San Francisco 1 ounce American Silver Eagle, and that's a phenomenal coin, a $250 value. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. Hope to see you again on T-Square Talk. I went a little longer than I should have, but I hope you don't mind, and hit that thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you all next time on T-Square Talk. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.